The North nuclear forces have been the focus of global concern, but its conventional military is vast and empowered, even if it is hobbled by shortages, corruption, and isolation. For decades, Pyongyang's growing nuclear arsenal has generated headlines. Now, as thousands of North Korean soldiers pour into Russia to help it fight the war in Ukraine, a much older threat has become relevant again. North Korea's massive conventional forces, one of the largest in the world. North Korea is arguably the world's most militarized country. Its state propaganda calls for arming the whole population and defending its leader Kim Jong as human rifles and bombs. But decades of international sanctions have ravaged the economy in North Korea, which also suffered a famine in the 1990s. As a result, its conventional weapons remain decrepit leftovers from a bygone era when the Soviets helped Pyongyang build up its stocks of artillery, shells, and rockets. Its pilots seldom fly for a lack of jet fuel. Its army has trouble finding food, gasoline, and spare parts. At the same time, North Korean soldiers are required to serve for 8 to 10 years, making them some of the longest serving, most experienced conscripts in the world. Like the country itself, North Korea's military and its fighting capabilities remain a mystery. It has not fought a major conflict since the Korean War, 7 decades ago, as its troops moved abroad for what could be their first major engagement in armed conflict abroad. North Korea state media carried no news on their departure or any going away ceremonies. Here is what to know about the North Korean military, formerly known as Korean People's Army. South Korea says the troops North Korea has sent to Russia are part of its Special Operations Force, one of the 5 branches of its military. These soldiers, an official in the South said, specialize in offensive operations. They are assigned to units with names like Storm, Lightning, and Thunderbolt, and are trained as snipers and for launching attacks from behind enemy lines. The Special Operations Force is one of the largest in the world, with 200,000 soldiers who are better equipped, trained, and fed than their colleagues. But some experts question this assessment. They cite videos showing North Korean troops in Russia and say that the images of the troops, many short in height and slight in physiques, suggests they belong to engineering corps that spent more time on Mr. Kim's construction projects than on combat training grounds. They are not wearing their own uniforms, instead disguising themselves in Russian uniforms, having no operational control but just following Russian orders. Kim Jong-un, the defense minister of South Korea, told lawmakers on Thursday North Korea is sending troops, but rather cannon fodder machineries. How capable is the Korean People's Army? Despite its fuel shortages, North Korea maintains 1.3 million active duty soldiers and keeps 7.6 million, or 30% of its population, as reservists, making it the world's 4th largest military. It relies on a draft to keep up the high troop levels, requiring men to serve for 8 to 10 years and women for 5 years. It has 4,300 tanks, 8,800 artillery pieces, 810 fighter planes, and 70 submarines, according to South Korea. Under its military force policy, the armed forces receive the lion's share of government resources. Some estimates North Korea's annual military spending as higher as quarter of its gross domestic product. The military runs its own vast network of farms, trading companies, fishing, and mining operations. But at the end of the Cold War, Pyongyang lost direct military-to-military support from Soviet, Russia, and China, leaving its conventional weapons system outdated. Mr. Kim has tried to compensate for those weaknesses by initiating a modernization campaign and building so-called asymmetric capabilities, developing nuclear missiles and stockpiling 5,000 tons of chemical weapons. According to South Korea officials, his arsenal includes 6,800 hackers who can attack enemy computer networks. The war in Ukraine has at times assumed the elements of a nuclear crisis as Russia's leader Vladimir Putin has moved to deter the United States from expanding military aid for Ukraine. Like Mr. Putin, North Korea's Kim has openly threatened to use nuclear weapons if war breaks out in Korea. How effective could these troops be? In the past, elite North Korean commandos have caused havoc in South Korea. In 1968, they came within striking distance of the residence of the South Korean president but failed to assassinate him. In other commando incursions, some North Korean soldiers have killed themselves rather than being caught by the enemy. A few have made it safely back to North Korea, even though South Korea mobilized army divisions to pursue them. So you see, North Korea is really, in fact, you can't even try to put their military might in one word, because when a country's GDP, military budget, is far more than the country's GDP itself, it says a whole lot, and you can see a whole lot of weapons they have in stock and the training they have. Them joining Russia in this war against Ukraine is not going to be funny. I just have pity for the people of Ukraine.